Spinning. We're live. Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
Program notes. Next Tuesday is Christmas Eve, so we're not going to be here.
Yeah, and the following us is New Year's. This is probably the last show of the year, I guess.
Could be the last show of the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will be. So I didn't want to go here with the last show of the year. I want to end on a positive note, but
we can turn it positive.
We'll turn it positive. The subject, though, is there a portion of society, a healthy portion of society, that really is incapable of acknowledging evil in society?
I don't know if it's incapable or just
unwilling.
Unwilling is probably a better word. I do think that maybe it's not a large portion of, just because of the way the world is today and what we see out there. I mean, if you don't see evil, you're not looking. I do think there are a lot of people that are naive and unwilling to see terrible things. I mean, I'm an optimist by nature, right? But I realize that there's just, in some instances, there's just pure evil in the world. Whether it's, violent evil, emotional evil, intentionally disruptive evil, but it's out there. I think there are some people that are unwilling. They want to live in a box and live kind of in their little zone of comfort and be okay with looking at the world only from their viewpoint. And they don't want to see that evil because that calls into question maybe some of their underlying beliefs. I think there's a lot of people that are like that they're unwilling to acknowledge the presence of evil or the presence of a dark side.
Is that out of fear?
I mean, I think it's out of fear. I think it's out of comfort,
inconvenience.
Yeah, I mean, because think about it, right? If you have a fundamental set of beliefs that are, good, and you now look at the evil in the world and all of the negativity in the world, and does that call into question your beliefs? Now you're confronted with an opposing force, and how do you deal with that?
Okay.
I think our default as humans is to seek comfort, right? We don't seek opposition. We don't seek confrontation. Confronting evil in the presence of evil is confrontational by nature. And I think that is not our default. I think people that are trying to excel as individuals, either personally or professionally, are always seeking discomfort. So they're always willing to face the evil. But I think there are a lot of people out there that just don't want to face it because it's a confrontational thing. People don't like confrontation.
There's statistics thrown out there, especially over the past year or so, that the trafficking problem in this country has affected, the numbers that are being thrown out there are 350,000 missing children, spurred on by illegal immigration.
Yeah.
If that's even remotely close to being accurate, how that particular issue is not at the forefront of the news every single day it gets mentioned, then it goes away. That's an incredible amount of kids gone.
It is. And one thing I've thought through on that is maybe one of the reasons why it's not front and center is now it becomes front and center in kids' minds. If it's front and center in the news and the parents are talking about it and then kids are talking about it and maybe kids aren't emotionally capable of handling that. Like again, I remember as a kid, I don't know if you remember this, but I was probably 8, 9 years old going to Radio Shack. My mom taking me to Radio Shack to get a video taken of me in case I got kidnapped. It's like you sat in front of this. There was like the measuring thing behind you. It said my name, where I lived,
and
my favorite toys.
Do you fingerprint?
I can't remember that. I just remember the video, and I remember saying the favorite toys I liked. Basically, I assumed at some point in my life I'm probably going to get kidnapped. That's why there's this video.
Oh, you're still thinking about it. I mean, you're still remembering that.
That's what I mean. That's how much of an impact it had on me. I'm 47 years old. That's almost 40 years ago.
No one's going to kidnap.
Well, I think at this point in time, I get kidnapped, I got bigger problems. But think about it. As a kid, like it was just a different time back then. Maybe we were. I don't want to say we were more emotionally stable. I just think we were the world was different. So we okay. If they're making this video and and Radio Shack's doing it for free, that means probably a few of us kids in this story are going to get kidnapped at some point in time. This is how my parents will find me.
Do they still put kids on milk cartons?
I don't think so. I mean, I buy almond milk, so I don't see them on almond milk containers.
Yeah, I haven't noticed them on any.
No, but that was the thing too. When we were growing up, they were on milk cartons, missing kids. And maybe it was always a problem. It's just now we see more of it because of social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just think about, I mean, all kidding aside, think about the trauma of like, if I couldn't imagine taking one of my daughters right now to a store to say, hey, we're going to go somewhere. You're going to get in front of this camera. You're going to talk about, they're going to ask some questions and we're going to make a video. And I say, what's the video for? Well, video is in case, I'll say it's going to happen, but just in case you get kidnapped, this is what we're going to put on TV to find you. They'd be like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Like, can you imagine that? But that was just part of normal life when we were growing up. We were
tough.
Yeah. I mean, apparently so. We were talking about this the other day in the office. There's a comedian that does this skit. He talks about quicksand too. He's like, I thought quicksand was going to be such a bigger problem in my life. And when he said that, I'm like, oh my God, I did too. I remember as a kid thinking, you heard about quicksand. I'm like, if I ever get stuck in quicksand, I'm dead. Like, I don't know what to do. I've never experienced quicksand in my life. But you remember, like, as every movie, every action show, someone fell in quicksand and got stuck. I'm like, how is there this much quicksand in the world?
Oh yeah, man.
I don't even know what quicksand is.
Remember killer bees?
Killer bees.
The killer bees were coming up from Mexico or South America, and they used to show maps, and they would say, okay, in this decade, they're going to go this far. In this decade. So by the year 1990, they were going to be all the way in Canada. Yeah. So when I saw that in the 70s, I was absolutely horrified, but I figured, oh, we got 20 years before it comes and gets me.
Yeah, right. This is the stuff we used to think about. Now think about that today.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a different time. I'm not saying that we were just from a different time.
Do you think there's more people that put their heads in the sand today in 2024 as opposed to, let's say, 1980?
Yes. I think, well, at least it's more apparent to us there are more people doing it. Maybe the same amount of people did. Take the election, right? I don't want to talk politics. So I'm just going to use this as the example. How many people have stuck their head in the sand after the election? That was a America saying something.
Mm-hmm.
We're done with the bullshit.
It's a statement.
It was a statement. But some people just stuck their head in the sand, don't want to believe it.
Well,
don't want to see it.
Deny it. And that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
It's almost like it goes back to all those countless topics on the Eric McKenna project and this show about reality. People not dealing with reality or creating their own reality.
Yes, exactly.
Which is counter to what's actually happening.
Yes. I mean, I heard the one guy on CNN, he was talking and he I give him credit. Like, he gave Trump credit. He's like, Trump is smarter than all of us. They said he won the electoral vote, the popular vote, the White House, the Senate, and the House. If we can't admit we are wrong, then we shouldn't be under
indictment.
Yeah, I mean, while under indictment, exactly. While under indictment. And that's the thing. And he was basically
shot at.
Yes, twice or once within a second attempt. Like, that's the thing. Like, we have to. This is where I think we get the country back on track. We have to all wake up, regardless of who's in office.
Okay, so to that point, is that more a reaffirmation that we don't know how to lose as a society anymore? We can't accept losing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's a big problem. We've talked about this before. I mean, I think there's a big problem people have with losing. People will die on the hill of being right as opposed to, doing what is right. Big difference.
Yes.
There are too many people that just want to be right.
Yeah. I'd love to have a psychiatrist or psychologist or someone in that field talk about the mental lure of self-affirmation, of being right. What that, it must be a really unique mental. There must be a lot of dopamine attached to being right, the belief of being right.
I'm sure it's a huge dopamine hit.
Has to be.
Absolutely.
It obsesses people.
100%. I mean, people get very obsessed with being right. Where to me, and I was a lot like that when I was younger, right? When I was younger, I always had to be right. Now I look at what is right. What do I have to?
What's the mature way of looking at society?
Yeah, like, I'm fine saying my belief was wrong, my perspective was wrong if the other side is right for the whole. Like, that's how I look at life now. Like, I want to do what's best for the whole. It's not just about me anymore.
How did you get there?
Experience, like being wrong, being proven wrong. Like I think to understand the I don't want to say the problem with being right, being able to understand the growth that comes from being wrong. You have to be wrong and get kicked in the face a couple times. You know what I mean? If you are wrong but don't believe you're wrong or aren't proven wrong by someone, and you can hold your beliefs like, well, we can agree to disagree. Like, you don't really understand, but it's when you are proven wrong and kicked in the face while being proven wrong, that's when you kind of have that wake up moment. It's okay, well, I don't necessarily know everything. I should probably listen more than I speak. I should probably engage more than attack. I think, again, I think there's a, because again, I look at it when I was younger, like I was trying to prove something. You know, I didn't have the confidence I have today. That's why I had to be right. I felt being right gave me confidence. Now it's like, I don't need to be right. I just need to do what is right.
Do you think there's some kind of understated feeling of power by being right?
No, I don't. I think it's artificial. I think it gives people confidence. It's artificial confidence. That's what it is.
Fake confidence.
Fake confidence. That's what it is. Because yeah, I'm right. Like, I'm smarter than you, or I win, or like my position is better than yours. Where I think true power and wisdom comes with understanding when you are wrong and why you are wrong and learning from it. I'd rather be the guy in the room that's listening to everybody than telling everybody what to do.
Well, that's how you operate.
I mean, it's true. Like, it's true. Like, I will speak a lot less now that I've gotten older. And I think that is being able to not speak when you have the urge to speak is a power. It really is. Yes, it really is. Because some people always have to say something. They always have to insert their opinion. They always have to be right. Word. Yeah, the last word. Yeah, that's exactly right. And to me, sometimes silence is the best last word.
Yeah, it's interesting too, and I've learned a lot on this podcast by observing the following. You, especially on our Four Friends shows or panel shows, you put a topic out there and you watch the banter back and forth, and you see who has to have the last word. Yeah, it's not a bad or good thing. It's just interesting to see how people are comfortable within the conversation and what they go out getting what they need to validate their participation. Yeah, internally. Yeah, it's fascinating.
No, you're right.
Oh, it's fascinating.
It really is. And I think people are seeking validation a lot of times. With being right is validating their opinion or validating their intelligence or their thought process. Because to me, like, I look at if you come to me and say, hey, here's what I want to do. And I say, well, that's wrong. Here's what I think, because you're asking for my opinion. I see a different way of doing it. Yeah. And if I say, okay, like, this is what you should do, and you're like, cool, and you learn from it and move on, that's great. Like, that's what should be done. But some people will tend to also justify their position. It's like, okay, well, then you didn't have to ask me. Like, you didn't. If you're gonna spend time justifying your opinion to me after you asked for my opinion, it was differing from yours. That's where I think people get. That's where that confidence thing comes in. Because if I come to you and you tell me I'm completely wrong, I'm like, okay, and I just move on. I don't need to justify my opinion. Like, I'm confident enough in my ability to know that, okay, I came to you because you know more than me, and you gave me a different answer than I thought. I should learn from this. Yeah. I don't need to justify why I was going to do something. I don't need to justify the house I thought about buying because that's a bad deal.
Right. Well, carry it even further for a second. So when you're in just a general discussion with one or multiple people, and topics are flying around, or even one very intense topic, there's going to be a point in time where you can really make a somewhat selfish decision. That is like, is it worth the energy to seek to be right? Yeah. That's where indifference comes in to some degree. Yeah. Different levels of indifference. Yeah. But at that particular moment am I gonna further the vibe, the feeling, the ultimate conversation by keep pushing my point when it's either not landing right? Yeah. You need to be mature enough.
That's a really good point.
Do that, but I think it's hard for all of us to do it.
No, I mean, that's a really good point, because I never thought about it that way, but I think there are a lot of people, and I deal with this in business, right, that they'll carry on a conversation without understanding, does this actually carry on the conversation?
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. I kind of knew what you were trying to say. So
You go to the attorney for brevity and clarity, right?
I use words differently, but it's true. Like some people just carry on the conversation but it's like, is it actually carrying the conversation further?
You're just beating a dead horse.
You're beating a dead horse. Because
How much of that goes on all day?
Oh, I mean, it's a lot,
right?
I mean, I will have calls sometimes with just different deals and different things I'm working on, and I'm a brevity person. Like I believe in, like I tell everybody that works with me, works for me, just give me the high level. I'll ask the questions I need. That when I was in corporate America, I remember Ashley, who worked for me, who's still a close friend and client. I would just, if someone sent me a long email to forward to her, and I said, "Tell me the point." I'll ask additional questions if I need it. Because I don't want to. I don't need I'm not a detailed person like that. I need to know what's the issue. Then I'll be able to ask the questions I need. So
right.
But if you come in and say, "Hey, here's this long," you lose me.
Don't send Rocco long text messages.
Oh, if someone sends me a long text message, dude, I'm usually picking up the phone and calling them and saying, "I didn't read it. What do you need?" Because to me, it's like there are certain. It's about efficiency.
Certainly.
Like I know, like we're looking at the firm for next year, like really putting all of our processes in place and making it like we're getting so much more efficient just because we're like closing all the gaps. And it's like, I just want to, the tempo has increased so much. And so I'm looking at every minute I can save. So to me, it's like, if you can send me a 2-sentence email that gets to the point, great. I don't need 2 pages or 2 paragraphs. If I need more information, I will ask you. Assume I need the least amount of information as possible. I will ask for more if I need it, because I can usually figure out what's going on, and that's hard. And that's hard too, because sometimes you have people that's how they think. So I have to be able to adapt to that as well. Like I have to respect the way people communicate as well. So it's finding that balance is hard.
So does that efficiency effort jive with that massage chair?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was a gift to the admin team. They wanted it.
Tell the good folks what you did.
Yeah, we got a massage chair for the office. It was they had proposed it a few weeks ago, because the whole office has been like really crushing it. They've been like doing really well and like going above and beyond for the firm and truly for the benefit of 2025. And so to me, it was a
no-brainer.
It was a no-brainer. Like it was a no-brainer to do. However, they delivered it yesterday. They're like, we can't bring it upstairs. We'll scratch the floor. You guys got to carry it up. So Gabe and I literally had to carry this 200-pound massage chair
in your suits.
Well, so luckily I had a T-shirt. That T-shirt I was wearing in the video was I think Southgate football team. We had sponsored them last year, so they dropped it off like as a gift. Luckily, I had it in my office because I soaked my dress shirt. Had to change and put that on. So we had to carry it upstairs, then put it together. Then we couldn't figure it out. Literally one piece you had to put together. One piece. And like it's me, Matt, and Gabe like trying to like wiggle it. We finally got it in, but now it's awesome. I used it twice today. It's hard, man. Like it like squeezes the shit out of you. but it's good. Like, it's like that's the thing. Like, I want to make sure we have the environment where everybody knows I appreciate all they do. And that to me was like a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. Like they wanted it, they proposed it, like they put a lot of thought into it, how they were going to do it. They even thought about put a schedule up so like people aren't abusing it. So yeah, I mean this is the stuff I want to do for the people that work for me. Like because truly I couldn't do it without them. So I look at it, that was a small gesture that I think they deserve, and it was and I'm gonna enjoy it too. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I was using it this afternoon before I left to come here, like just like 5-10 minutes. Come to the office and try it out.
Hey, I'm going to.
It's a winter wonderland.
I might do it this week. Yeah.
We're there, man. It's fun.
Yeah,
but it squeezes hard.
I'm gonna take some pictures for social media. I'm definitely gonna.
I mean, you push your arms in the thing. I didn't realize how hard it squeezed to the point where my arm popped out because it squeezed it so hard today. Now I'm also like I'm a little bit like Gabe and I have a hard time sitting in that thing because we're a little bit bigger. So it's like we gotta shimmy our way in. So it's not,
You may never get Gabe out of there once he gets in.
Well, he was yesterday at the end of the day, like he stayed actually. I'm like, oh, you're staying actually use the massage chair. Like he was the zero gravity mode just laying there. It was hilarious. So it was definitely It's a fun thing. Like that's you know, to me, that's the environment we're creating.
What do you hope to see in 2024 if you're going to see
2025?
Pardon me?
You said 2024. You mean 2025?
Oh, please.
Okay, I was like, yeah, let's look forward, man. Let's look forward.
It's mind numbing that this is the 5th year after the pandemic.
That's crazy.
We're entering the 5th year.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like it was just yesterday.
Oh, unfortunately.
I know.
If you could see one, I challenge you. If you could see one change in society, a change that's feasible, that would make an impact for the betterment of America.
Yeah.
What change in society would you like to see?
That's easy. Don't get offended by everything. Not everything's meant to be offensive. Some things are just a joke. Like we don't have to be offended by everything.
It's a good one.
Because if you start there, then it allows people to loosen up. I think because everybody gets offended by everything, people are always tense.
We're uptight as a society.
Yeah. So I think if you say like, hey, we can get back to a time when The Office was funny. And even though they said the most offensive shit, like by today's standards, when it was on TV, we all laughed. We knew it was just a joke.
Yeah. And Seinfeld. And Red Fox and Eddie Murphy and George Carlin.
That to me Bruce is the biggest impact, the biggest change, the change that can make the biggest impact is truly being less offended.
And what will it require to get there?
Self-reflection. People just realize that, hey, maybe they're not offending me. Maybe they're not meaning to be offensive. Maybe they're just joking. Maybe they don't know any better. Like we don't have to be the victim all the time.
We also don't have to have that level of self-importance to think that we deserve to be offended.
Yeah. Well, that's all.
That we are that popular, or that we are that.
Yes.
We are
99% of the people aren't thinking about you.
Correct. That's the lesson.
And that's what we have to realize. That most people don't give a shit about us.
That's the lesson.
It's really just, hey, if something's funny, I'm going to laugh. Yeah. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not meaning to be offensive. Like I will always help anybody. I couldn't care less about your preferences. That's you. That's great. Like just because I don't agree with your position on certain things doesn't mean I'm offending you or think you're evil or the enemy. I don't have to agree.
Right. Yeah.
You know, if you don't like pizza and I love pizza and you hate pizza, does that mean I'm not going to like you as a person? We have different opinions. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, they're so inconsequential in the aspect of life.
Yeah.
And I laugh when I see sports teams. I hope sometimes most of it's done in good fun, but the loyalty of a sports team, and you see it spill over in the stadiums and all that.
Yeah,
some of that's alcohol fueled.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's like you realize everybody's there because they love the actual sport.
Yeah,
you're all participating in the same thing.
Yeah,
but you just arbitrarily picked a side.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that pretty much a metaphor for life, though? Is pretty much most of life, from your viewpoint, arbitrary?
I mean,
we're going deep today.
That's a big question.
I bring that up because one of my dearest friends says that, has been saying that for 40 years of our life together. And I was younger, and he would say, I'm like, yes, I don't want to think about that. But as time goes on, he said, look, everything we do, every choice we make, it's arbitrary. It's man-made. We have decided, or collectively, we have decided to do things.
Yeah. Or what if it's already been destined what we're supposed to do, and we're just following a path? It's a whole different debate.
Yeah.
It's a whole different debate. And to me, I look at it like what I've learned the older I've gotten. Even this year, towards the end of the year, I really started looking at it this way. Like every day that I wake up and I feel good is a gift. Like as you get older, you start seeing, people become unhealthy. And I look at it like I get to wake up every day and work with people I choose to work with. I'm relatively healthy. I feel good. Like I feel probably better than I have in years. At 40, I probably feel better at 47 than I did at 27. I can
so relate to that.
And it's just, so I look at it, it's a gift. Like, yes, do I have stressful days or overwhelming days? Absolutely. I'm trying to build a law firm and trying to manage 10 people and make sure everybody's, doing well, and I'm mentoring them and guiding them, and I'm still trying to mentor and guide myself as well as kids and life and family. Like, there's so many pieces to it. So I really tried to make things very simplistic. Did I wake up today? Am I breathing? Do I have a roof over my head? Am I happy? Am I healthy? Everything else is, I don't want to say arbitrary, but if I have that, like, and I was
Everyone else
reading,
is second tier.
yeah, and I was reading a book this morning, and it's called The Diary of a CEO. It's all these like 30-something.
Who's the author of that?
Steve something. I can't remember the last name. It's in my car. But he's talking about like how everything in life is put on a table, and the table is your health. He's like, if you don't have your health, the table falls.
Yeah.
And it really like put things into perspective for me. Like, because as you get older, right, your body feels different. Like, I know, like, I'm not as flexible.
Trust me.
But I'm saying, but I'm also realizing the importance of mental clarity, like physical health, mental health, spiritual health, because that's the table everything else sits on. Like my business, my family, my friends, my relationships, like everything sits on top of that. And if that falters, and there's a responsibility on me to like run a firm and to grow a business and make sure everyone's taken care of. Like, that's a lot of responsibility I take on. If that table falls, like, that's where I spent a lot of time this year focusing on my health and fitness. I'm upping that 10x next year just because I see the importance of it. Like, truly. And that's what I think if people just look at that, life gets very simple. If you just focus on the health, your health and well-being, everything else becomes easy.
See, that's the area that I'd like to see us change. I mean, I would love to see, for sure, I'd like to see people be kinder, to lighten up a little bit, take a deep breath, enjoy humor, remember laughter.
Yeah,
like Robert Plant, Led Zeppelin said, did anybody remember laughter? Maybe we need to remember what it's like to laugh. But I'd like to see the country move toward a more healthy state.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what Robert Kennedy does.
I as well.
Yeah, because I think we need it. And I was even listening to a podcast on the way here, and the guy, I think it was Luke something, but he's an interesting business guy. But he was saying, he's like, health equals money, health equals wealth. And he was saying, like, he's talking to a young kid, he's like, you go tanning. He's like, that's a money play. I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what is this guy talking about? But he said, he's like, you go tanning, one, it increases your vitamin D, it makes you healthy, you look better, you feel better, you perform better, which leads to more money. And I'm like, that's a really interesting take.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes sense, though.
Anybody has to, if anybody has had a period where they looked in the mirror and they were at the weight they wanted to be, or they had a tan, or they were dressed nice.
Yeah.
And you remember what you felt like at that moment.
Yes.
It's hard to dispute what he said.
100%.
Your state is somewhere else.
100%.
You don't have 24/7.
That is 100% right. I mean, it is truly when you get to that point. Like, I feel like this year, like, I've probably been in the best physical shape I've been in years, just because I've really been intentional with it and work with the coach and just sign off another year with him. And I think because he's truly like helped me tremendously. Even despite all the shit that happened this year, like all the, like everything that could possibly happen in a person's life.
You've had a year, man. You've had a year.
But I felt good the whole way through.
Yeah.
Like I was able to weather it. Had I not been,
that's how you got through.
That's what I mean. Like, had I not been in the shape of being physical and mental shape, I would have fell apart. I could tell you right now, I would have fell apart 6 months ago, like completely crumbled to the ground. But because I put such intention and focus on my health and well-being this year, I weathered the storm, and I felt like I weathered it pretty well. And despite all of it, we still grew as a firm. Being down employees, we're still going to grow 30%. Wow. Through all of the turmoil. And so now we're setting ourselves up for even a bigger spurt next year. So this year made me realize how important health and wellness is in a business perspective.
Yeah.
I always knew that, but I never saw it in my own life in action. Because I know what I've been through this year.
Okay.
Had I not been in the physical shape, and truly the coach I work with is Carter, like he truly, like, that's kept me accountable, and like that's a huge reason why,
for sure,
I was able to stick with it. Because I know because I would have said, well, fuck it, like,
that's human nature.
I'm gonna eat what I want. I'm work out when I can. I would probably weigh 280 fucking pounds and I would have crumbled to
can't see
pieces.
that.
No, but I know myself. I would be probably 10 pounds heavier than I am now.
Yeah.
But I would have crumbled, and I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think about how all the statistics show how much the society is obese and overweight.
Yeah.
And I don't even think about the visual aspect of it. I think the visual aspect is a dampening of the self-esteem when people look in the mirror. I get that, but it's almost like what they're missing is the way they would feel if they started to get their weight in proportion, or they started to get that dopamine hit of the reflection back to them. I mean, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you get on the train of feeling better, and you really like it, I mean, it's really the journey. I mean, the journey of becoming healthy, is as blissful as the day that you reach your target weight, or if not more. It's the journey of doing that, and being on that journey affects every little other aspect of your life.
It truly does. It really.
And that's what I'd love to just grab people and say, look, you can do that, because you don't know you don't know the great stuff that's ahead of you. If you just take the freaking first step.
That's it. That is it. Just take the first step. Like, you don't have to see the goalposts.
Right.
You don't have to see the full path.
Right.
Just take the first step.
Right.
And that's what people think they have to have the entire plan laid out. I used to think that way.
Well, social media doesn't help in that regard.
No, it doesn't. But if you could, that quote from that, what's the book? The Boy, the Horse, and the I can't remember, but the guy standing at the edge of the woods. Can you see the path? No, but can you see the first step? Yes. Well, then take that. That's really what it boils down to. As long as you can see the next step, you have to just do that. The path becomes clear.
Yeah.
I'm the perfect testament to that. When I left corporate America, started a law firm, I had no idea what I was doing. I just said, okay, what's the first step? Talk to people. Let them know I started a law firm. Let them know what I'm doing. And now here we are, 5 years later, we're growing like crazy. We have 10 people.
It's unbelievable.
But I had no idea. I didn't see that path.
No.
I was like, okay, I can see the next step. And then as you take the steps, the path becomes more and more clear. But people got to be willing to take the step without seeing the path. That's the big thing. People want to see the result they're going to get. Trust the process.
You got to have belief in oneself.
Belief in oneself and belief in the process.
Yeah.
Trust in the process.
Yes. And if anyone creates the magic pill that can instantly make somebody do those two things, they'll be a billionaire.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the magic. That's the key.
Yeah.
But why some do and some don't is one of the mysteries of life.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think people have a tendency to overthink things. I think they want to see they're going to get a result before they take the step to get the results. They want certainty in the outcome.
And that's human nature, right? That's always been around.
Yeah, but you have to get past that because,
absolutely.
If you're never going to have certainty in the outcome.
No.
That's why I love the saying, like, shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you're at least among the stars. And it's true. Like, you have to, like, why not shoot big? Like, if you're going to put in some effort, why not put in 10x the effort? Like, why not? What's the worst that can happen? You get farther than you would have doing, half of what you were going to do.
Especially if it's something you truly desire.
Yeah, that's it. And that's the other piece. Like, I don't think people know what they would desire.
Bingo.
That's a big part of it. Like, they don't really know what they desire. They think they know what they desire.
And the argument can be made that if it was truly your dream and you did it and it didn't work out, then it really, really wasn't your dream.
Right.
That's a harsh thing to tell somebody.
But that's reality. You're right, man. I mean, because if you, like they say, if you want to, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. And I think if you have a dream, you're going to not stop until you accomplish the dream.
I'd also like to see people have a movement toward finding out what they really love in life. I mean, I think when you ask people that question, they can rattle off a bunch of things they like. They like beer. They like their football games. They like their car. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, take all those things and drill down and find. If I said, do you pick those three things you really did? A lot of people probably cannot rattle them off.
Yeah, I think the bigger question is like, how do you want people to remember you?
Mm.
Like when you're
Do they think
gone,
about that enough, though?
I think people need to think about it. I think because that gives you the path to life. It's like if you ask somebody, say, if someone when you're gone, and they say the 3 things they remember by, what are those 3 things? That'll give you your life path. If you sit down
If
and
you
really think,
care enough
if you
about
care
it.
enough, but
Yeah.
if you
I
think, if you
mean,
think
some
through it,
don't.
if you think through it, like it'll show you where you're supposed to go. It's a very telling question.
Yes.
You know,
Agreed.
if you get really vulnerable and answer it,
Agreed.
you know,
Agreed.
because some people may not say anything about their profession. And maybe I want to be remembered as a good dad, a good husband, a good,
Yeah.
you know, then it's like, okay, career secondary to you.
That's interesting.
You know,
That's
it's
interesting.
an interesting question. Even ask yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
I have. I've wrestled with it. I've journaled about it for years and years.
Yeah.
And it's funny to watch it change.
Yeah, it
It
does.
just change.
It definitely changed over time, but I think there's always going to be a fundamental similarity throughout the ups
Yeah.
and downs.
I always thought too, in a very simplistic way, that I mean, like everybody, when you're talking in big picture, or you're talking esoterically with people who want to have that conversation just casually, we like to say the following: oh, there's these type of people and there's these type of people, or there's these type of people and these type of people. And I was guilty of that. And I used to say, like, there are people in the world that want to go out and make a mark on strangers.
Yeah.
And there are people in this world that have no interest on making a mark on strangers. You know,
okay,
that was a weird way of dividing the world in half.
Yeah, I get it.
And I don't think that's a very accurate way of doing it.
Okay.
That's what I thought for a long, long time. And I used to consider myself that, well, and what I want to do is I want to go out and try to leave a mark on strangers, leave a mark on the rest of the world in some capacity, whether it's what I leave, it's what I create, whatever. And then some people just don't have that desire, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
It's just a different way of what you need inside.
I agree.
And I've moved my life in a way where I'm doing things on a more public basis that goes out and either leaves a mark, creates something unique, or touches people in a broad way.
Yeah.
That must have been important to me, because that's the direction.
No, I mean,
we're sitting here,
100%.
That's what I do in the morning. It's what I get. It's the guitar business.
Exactly.
It was create something.
Yeah.
Value is a funny word to use, but just create something that touches other people in a way and leaves an impact.
Yeah, I completely
small, big doesn't matter.
But you want to leave the impact. To me, it's like I want to. There's like really 2 fundamental things. It's about leaving some sort of legacy, like disrupting something.
Yeah,
either the industry or a profession, but also being able for my kids to look at me and say my dad led by example. Like that's what I want to know. Like that I make mistakes. I'm not a perfect human. I'm flawed as a man completely. But I want them to say my dad was a good person. He led by example.
Absolutely right.
And he made mistakes and he owned his mistakes and he wasn't perfect. No one is, but he led by example. And they can look at me and be proud of the example I set. Like that's really what it's about to me.
It's so odd that you and I were on this collision course.
Yeah.
The friendship developed because there's so many similarities.
Yeah.
In our, I was just 10 years ahead of you.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I entered an online marketplace at its infancy.
Yeah.
Took the standard way to buy and sell musical instruments, guitars primarily.
Yep.
And tried out of a little office in Pittsburgh to turn that industry on its head.
Yep.
I wasn't thinking I was doing that at the time.
Exactly.
But I knew that could be a competitive niche.
Yep.
And in turn, we kind of did that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So that was, I didn't even know what the word disruptor was even like a thing back then. But the idea was for me to make it, I had to find a way to disrupt the norm.
Yeah, exactly.
And find my niche.
Yeah.
And then I reveled in it. Then when I got pushed back, I just kept doing it more and more and more. You redefine the way law is practiced, specifically business law.
Yeah.
But how law is practiced, marketed, presented, imagery, everything.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting when you think about it. Yeah, I mean, it really, and I didn't know that's what I was doing.
Right.
I just said I'm going to do this, and I got to do it differently than everybody else.
That's my point.
That's how I survive.
No one goes and says, "I'm going to be a disruptor." You become a disruptor.
I have to survive. That's what it was. Like, how do I survive in a marketplace that is from the 1800s? It's been around since the beginning of the time. How do I survive as a solo lawyer? And that's what I did.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and you just become a disruptor without calling yourself a disruptor.
Exactly right.
It's disrupting by necessity.
Because I thoroughly believe that the word disruptor is so in vogue that it hasn't really hit yet, but it's going to be the next influencer. The next thing is going to be
exactly.
People are going to start calling themselves disruptor.
Right, yes. I mean,
people have never done anything.
People already do call themselves disruptors.
Okay, there you go. That's like the new catchword, maybe for 2025 on social.
It is.
We are a disruptor. Our firm is a market disruptor.
Yeah, and I think, and look, there are people that are trying to do that.
Of course.
I just say, just disrupt. Just do it.
Just do it.
Don't worry about what you call yourself. Just do it. Because again, like you and I are both, by the sheer definition, we are disruptors of industries, to the extent we have, but neither one of us intended to do that.
No, that's the whole point.
Right. It was survival,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's like really was interesting. Like that's yeah. I mean, it really comes down to asking that question, right?
Yeah.
You ask that question, why? Why are things done the way they're done?
Yeah.
Because they've always been done that way?
Yeah.
Why?
Exactly. Why not a different way?
Right.
Why not me?
Right. Why not me? Why not a different way? Why not do it differently?
Yeah.
And make money.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It was real simple for me.
Yeah.
I needed to survive.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go work anymore for anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I quit a corporate job and said, okay, I have no paycheck.
Right.
Oh shit. I got to figure this out. Like, what do I do? And that's what I said. I said, okay, like, what do people hate about lawyers? I will do the opposite of that. And that's just what we've done. And you kind of figure it out as you go. It's you don't go into it like the way we did it. We did not go into anything saying we're going to disrupt. We said we're going to survive, and to survive, we had to disrupt.
Right.
That's really what it boils down to.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that, like, looking back at both of our journeys, I think it's very clear that's what we both had to do.
I mean, really, is it even feasible anymore to take an existing standard business model and just join it and create your own niche doing it? I'm sure in some industries you can.
Sure.
But there has to be some differentiation to you would strive to find some uniqueness to get people to do business with you as opposed to XYZ 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I think to take an industry and really it takes balls to just say, okay, it's been done this way for so long and everybody does this way. Well, I'm going to try a completely different way. Like, holy shit, let's do that.
Rocco, I went to Gibson, Fender, Paul Reed Smith, Peavey, all these electric guitar companies with this crazy idea. And they all, it wasn't dramatic, but basically y'all slammed the door. We don't need you. We have our own marketing department. We have our own, artist relations department. And then, the last one on my list, the guitar company I didn't even like.
Yeah.
They're the one that said, yeah.
You
know what I mean? Like there's a lesson in perseverance there that I probably would be the last person giving that lesson. But in the way my story worked out, that was it.
Yeah.
When you want something so bad.
Yeah.
You really believe that this could really freaking work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you're deluded in believing it or you actually believe it.
Yeah.
But how do you get somebody to the point where they believe in themselves that strongly that they don't quit and they have the guts to initiate it? It's like, where can we capsulate that into a pill? How can you get that?
Not everybody's built that way. That's the thing. Think about that. If everybody could do that, there'd be no employees. Everybody be entrepreneurs. Some people, I think people like that are just wired differently.
Yeah.
Because I think humans by default, we seek comfort and ease. I think the people like us, if things are too comfortable, like I hate it. I get uncomfortable being comfortable. So we have that inclination to, like, nothing's going to stop me.
Right.
Like, I'm going to run through a brick wall if I have to, because if this is what I want to do, no one's going to tell me I can't do it.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. If someone tells you can't do it, I'm going to do it twice and take pictures. And that's really what it boils down to. But that's a different wiring. Like, where you have to have a little bit of psycho in you.
Very much so.
And that's what I've realized, like, looking back at my journey. Like, if I look back now, like, I just walked away from a job that paid really well and I get to travel the world and said, I'll just figure it out with 3 kids, young ones, one going to college soon. It was like, okay, neat. Let's figure this out.
Where you
right
start,
before the pandemic.
But that's where you start building like incredible confidence, a confidence that no one else can instill in you. It comes from within, man, based upon your own ability to take the next step. And you look down like, oh shit, I started down there.
Yes, exactly.
I look up there.
That's,
I mean,
and that's true. Like, and that's what I had to realize even over the past year. Like, I have to sometimes stop and look how far I've come, because I'm always focused on where I'm not. Like, I'm not there yet. Like,
you are that way.
I'm always focused on, like, I didn't achieve what I want, but I have to look back and say, look at the ground taken.
Okay, so that's interesting. Like, I'm at a point in my life now where I can start enjoying what I've done.
Yeah.
But when I was in the thick of it, I didn't enjoy. We talked about this. I didn't enjoy. I had everybody around me saying, like, it's a once in a life thing. That people around you now are like, this is a once in a life thing. Pay attention, enjoy it. I couldn't let myself do it. I wish I could have.
Yeah, I know it's hard.
It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I enjoy the stress of it, I think.
But you're surrounded by great people. I was more of a solo
entrepreneur. You're right. Yes, I'm surrounded by people. Correct.
Yeah, so you can feed off of their energy.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have that.
And you were building a lifestyle business, right? Like you said.
Certainly.
Like, I'm trying to build an organization.
Yeah.
That, like, it's like putting a puzzle together and putting all these pieces.
No, I get
love
that.
it.
I get that.
And I'm learning too. Like, even to, like, next year, I even said, like, I'm going to take more time for myself and enjoy. Like I did this year, but every year I'm trying to do it incrementally more, just to give myself time to recharge.
No, I get it.
But I mean, I love it. Like, I'll never want to slow down.
Yeah.
That's just me. Like, what else would I do? I don't have a hobby. I'm going to go fish or play tennis or golf.
No,
like,
you're right. You're right.
What am I going to do? Sit around and do nothing? If I'm not doing this,
you should be practicing your guitar more.
You're right. I mean, you're right. It's just the problem I have with that is, like, I hate when I'm not good at something, and I know that's just something I have to put the time in.
It's
just time. It's tough, time, and
it takes the mechanics of it. The first couple of years are a bitch.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. It's just like, and it's just like mother effort. Like, this is
once you get it, though, it's so rewarding.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to keep doing it. Yeah. It's just what took most people probably 2 years will take me probably 5, which is fine.
There's no race,
No, I know. It's one of those things where it get not discouraging. It's just, I hate when it takes me long to do something, because I can usually figure out shit pretty quick. And I'm like,
your ramp up to most things is pretty fast.
Yeah,
except they're well, it might be quicker than the average person. We don't know, but it's usually usually a mechanical period of learning that is hard to excel. Or not excel. It's hard to speed up.
And, like, just stretching your hand to go a certain way, it's like,
you and I both have tiny fingers. Not tiny, but our fingers are wide, but they're not real long.
Yes, I don't have long fingers at all. So it's
But I can show you Al Di Meola, one of the greatest guitarists ever there, and his fingers are shorter than ours. I mean, it's always an excuse. I use that excuse for a long time.
I'm not making excuses. I just haven't put the time into it. I know that's the reality of it. I just haven't put the time into it. But I think, the New Year's around the corner, man. Yeah. It's definitely
last question for the year. What do you think it's going to look like, generally speaking, as we sit here in December of 2025? Different than it does today.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic about next year. I think if I'm being honest with myself and what I believe, whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know. I think this time next year we'll be sitting here with a very large sense of peace about where we are as a country and where we are as a society. We're not going to be completely back to normal, but I think we're going to see such strides this year of people just cutting through the bullshit and just getting back to some level of normal, that I feel like this time next year we'll have a sense of peace internally that we haven't had in years. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm optimistic about.
Well, you and I were in different places naturally because of the age difference, like in 98, 99. But I had many conversations with good friends of mine during that period of 98, 99, where we actually would sit down and we would reflect on where the world was from our perspective.
Yeah.
And we actually would say to each other, we are like really in a great place.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no real world conflicts going on at the time.
That's what I think.
They were curing all kinds of disease. This internet thing is coming, and it looks like it's going to have all these effects on medicine. And, you know, there was I think there was optimism in this second term of Bill Clinton. Now, during that time, he also had that liaison. And I think that ushered in a new era of volatility in politics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely did.
Unfortunately.
100%, yes.
But that moment in time, I think that the country was on good footing. And of course, 9/11 was right around the corner and all that. But right before, there's always calm before the storm, right?
Absolutely right.
But I would love to be able to, like, in December, us sit here and look at the past year and where the country was at that moment and have a similar feeling, because I've not had that feeling since like 98, 99. I haven't.
No, I agree. I think
gas was cheap. I mean, it was like we were really in an interesting place.
I think we'll have a sense of peace next year. I mean, mark my words, say what, December 17th. I think this time next year there will be we will feel a sense of peace. Maybe not complete tranquility, but a sense of peace as to where we are as a country and where we're going. That's how I look at it.
Oh,
that's what I hope for. Yeah, that's it, man.
We'll definitely be doing this.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, partner. Cool. Thank you. Been a great year.
Absolutely, man.
On to 2025.
It's been a good year.
Thank you all for it. Yes. Feedback's always appreciated. You can even yell at me. It's in the end of the year. I can take it.
Yeah.
All right. Until next year.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll see.